What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Comically Boston. Today we are breaking down episode 4 of Agatha All Along. And this show has been awesome through 4 episodes so far. I believe the pressers that got sent out to everyone was only through 4 episodes. So next week, everyone's blind going into that episode. So I love that. I believe we have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 left, so 5 episodes remaining after this. But episode 4 was titled, If I Can't Reach You, Let My Song Teach You. And this is referring to Lorna Wu, Alice's mother's Ballad of the Witch's Road. And you can see here the Ballad of the Witch's Road cover art and the poster here of this episode. Very fitting for this episode. I believe this was the one I had to use, considering the Ballad of the Witch's Road record comes into play and the outfits, the 70s outfits. I really love this one. This is the second of the witches' trials. The first one was last episode, and that was Jen's trial, and she was the potions witch, and it also had to do with water, because the water came rushing into the house. This trial is the fire trial, but we'll get into all of that. We were left off last episode with Sharon dead and Agatha going, "Who's Sharon?" Come on, Mrs. Hart, we all know. We all wanted her back, and I hope this is not the last we see of Mrs. Hart. We also learned last episode that the teen in that whole voice thing and what's happening over his mouth is a sigil, and I still think it's an M, and it kind of looks like a signature. I'm thinking it's probably Mephisto that did this. It could be Wanda, and it's just flipped upside down trying to throw us for a loop with the M, but she's also WM, Wanda Maximoff, so I don't know, maybe it's Maximoff, maybe it's flipped, maybe it's Wanda, I don't know. It's definitely not an A, so it's not Agatha, it's not an H, it's not Harkness, you know, like, I don't know. That's at least where my thoughts go on the teen and the sigil. We'll figure out that eventually. They do talk about the sigil more later this episode. But we open this episode, like every episode, with the title, and then we see Agatha's bent over Sharon's dead body, and she says to her, "I didn't think you had it in you." Teen's digging a grave for her, which I was confused at first, because I was like, I thought they weren't supposed to step off the road. And he's like off the road, right, digging a hole. But at the same time, I think they're supposed to bury somebody if they die on the Witch's Road. I don't know. It felt a lot more right burying Mrs. Hart than just leaving her there and keep walking, right? Like, that's what Agatha wanted to do. Agatha's like, all right, the rest of us go. They'll catch up. Don't worry about the rest of them. Let's us all go. And the coven's like, no, we have to stay and bury her. We find out through the witches talking that, you know, we had thought that Lorna Wu died on the Witch's Road. Alice debunks this theory and goes, no, she died on tour in a hotel fire. Now, what started that hotel fire and where was she on tour, I don't know, but, you know, Lorna Wu not dead on the Witch's Road, apparently. And they ask Alice why she's here, and she goes, she's here because her mom said the road would save her. Save her from what? What was her mother not able to protect? We saw last episode when Alice had that, like, kind of nightmare dream thing that her mother said, I can't protect you. And that's probably why she had her put that curse, you know, thing on her, tattooed on her. But we find out later this episode that the curse that her mother was referring to is real, and it is a family curse for real. Jen reminds everyone that the coven is still not full and that we need a green witch, which, aka Rio Vadal, Aubrey Plaza's character. Debra Jo Rupp was the green witch they had in Mrs. Hart. And then they start debating the lyrics of The Witch's Road, and then Lilia goes, Alice, what are the lyrics? Your mother was the one that wrote the ballad. You would probably know better than these two arguing over nothing. And Alice just goes, how many witches survived with you the last time you went down the road, Agatha? Just avoids the question and asks a new one. And Agatha doesn't answer, but she puts up one finger. So to me, I was like, okay, is this meaning herself was the only one that walked off the Witch's Road, or herself plus one, and would that plus one then be real? At least in my mind, that's the only one other witch I could see her bringing off the Witch's Road, right? Jen reminds everyone that they would not have survived if it wasn't for her last time, and that's why they need a green witch, because each of one of these witches is going to be key in one of these trials. And Alice goes, but all of us did not survive last time. Mrs. Hart dead. And Lily goes, at my count, Mrs. Hart drank 2 glasses of wine. How many doses of antidote did you give her, potions witch? your fault. So it's technically Jen's fault that Mrs. Hart died? Maybe, possibly. Or that was meant to happen so that we can get a different Green Witch, an actual Green Witch, into the coven. Teen finishes burying Mrs. Hart, places a green little flower with white buds on her over top the grave, and he says, it's everyone's fault. We were supposed to look out for each other, but we didn't. That was our fatal mistake. I want to go home. And Alice says, we can't go home, but we shouldn't go forward without a Green Witch either. And Agatha goes, what if we conjure a new Green Witch? Anyone got a spell book? And the teen goes, I got a spell book. So they start to cast the spell in the leaves. You can see like the dead body that's supposed to be like Mrs. Hart and is like carved out of the leaves. That was just a nice little detail as the coven stands around and starts to conjure a spell to try and conjure up a new Green Witch. And each member of the coven has to throw in a little piece of themselves or a little piece into this spell. And Lilia goes, may she be strong and wise and the best at her craft. Agatha goes, may she be smart and not annoying. And also not super political. Jen goes, may she be pleasant looking. Alice goes, can she bring Advil? You know, right? Like, so it gets less and less serious as they go along. And then they go, okay, did it work? Maybe it works, maybe not. So they start to walk away, and then we see Mrs. Hart's body start to reanimate. It shocks the group. They're all standing back like, oh God, what is happening? Oh God. And then they're all shocked. I love this picture of all of their faces. I posted on Twitter last night after the episode. I was like, me when I find out what they did to Mrs. Hart. But yeah, I love the look of the group here and just how sharp and color pop this image is. A high quality HD image right there. But we see that the body reanimates into Rio. And this is not what Agatha had planned. I don't know who she was expecting, but it wasn't Rio. Agatha goes, how did you? And Rio says, I was in the neighborhood. And then this is what else she says.
Surprise. My lady. What are you doing?
You just summoned her. You need her. We need her. And she's like, surprise, gives her like a flower. She like looks like she's made out of vines and shit because she just came out of the earth and reanimated out of a different body. Okay, Rio. Like, and Agatha walks away. She doesn't want anything to do with it. Rio starts talking to the girls and they go, so you're a Green Witch? She goes, less a Green Witch, more the Green Witch. And you're like, oh, fucking okay, Aubrey. I see you. You are leaning in. And she goes, we're supposed to walk this thing, right? This is cool. Yeah, this is a cool place. And talking about the Witch's Road. The teen runs after Agatha, goes, are we in trouble? Like, more trouble than we were 10 minutes ago? And she ignores him, doesn't say anything. And then we hear the rest of the coven, the women going, can we trust her? And Lilia goes, we know Agatha hates her, that's a pro. Jen goes, I don't know if I want to hate her or get her phone number. And then she kind of like bites at them. And you just hear Lilia go, what a scary bitch. And I was like, oh, that's a great line. But they walk up and see a house, another house in the woods. This one looks a little bit more spooky. I believe this house is Alice's mother's house or coven or recording studio house, something along those lines. So Alice sees it and goes, pass. Agatha runs after her and goes, hey, what's the plan? Where are we gonna go? And she's like, I don't know. Another road, another way around maybe. And she goes, yeah, I agree with you, but it seems the road disagrees. And they turned around and went to different paths, but the house still popped up in that path. The only way past the house is through. So clearly this is going to be Alice's trial. To go to her mother's house / old recording studio and pass through the fire trial. We know it's the fire trial because they walk up to the door and there's a waxing moon on the door and the teen goes, the fire phase. I wonder what next episode's trial will be. Will it be earth, wind? I don't know. I only know the 4 elements from Avatar: The Last Airbender, okay? I grew up a Nickelodeon kid. I don't know the elements of the witches. I'm guessing though, if water was 1, fire's 2, you know, maybe that will be where we head along down the road. And just like the first house where they go in and the outfits change, they go into this house and they get changed into like 70s, you know, groovy outfits. I love the teen's little fur jacket and his little like wig, his little like long hair bob thing going on. I was like, damn, he looks like fresh out of 70s movie, or even that 70s show type of vibe. Like if he took off that fur jacket, just the pants and the shirt and the hair, he looks like Kelso, no? Kelso was Ashton Kutcher, right? I don't know. I do love Alice's outfit too, with the red glasses. And then Aubrey and Agatha look great over there. Lilia looks great too. She just, you know, always looks great. Patty Lapone, always killing it. So Agatha sees her 70s outfit and goes, oh, I look good. The teen goes, we look like an album cover waiting to happen. Right, that shit cracked me up. Because they really do. But they go, what's the test now? And the teen goes, oh, maybe there's a real card. I'll start to look. And they go, no cheating, Agatha. Agatha goes, what? No, I would never. Rio looks at Agatha and goes, boo. And she goes, no, and walks away. Lilia cries over the artwork. Jen's creeped out by the artwork. And Alice stops on a picture of her mother and has this weird little conversation with Lilia. Again, Lilia is having this weird little moment like she did in the last episode. Lilia says Lorna was trying to summon the Witch's Road with her concerts, and the fans were her coven. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense why she was a musician. She was the Ballad of the Witch's Road, you know what I mean? But Lilia has another weird moment, and she says, am I wispy or am I kooky? And Alice goes, a little bit of both, if I'm honest. And then she goes, Alice, don't! And then doesn't remember saying it. So like, is this like a message from the future or the past, or like, I don't know. But a message of some sort is getting channeled through Lilia. And she, you know, the first episode, I think, or the last episode, she said, Agatha, save Agatha. And now she says, Alice, don't. I don't know. I feel like all this is going to come back at the end, and it's going to be real bad that people didn't know what Lilia's warnings meant. You know what I mean? But Rio and Agatha talk, and Rio says she wants to cause damage. And we see her little knife, the same one that she brought on Agatha in the first episode. So Agatha says to Rio, you were too early. So they were planning this all along, but she was trying to summon a different green witch because she said she was too early? I don't know. But Rio says it wasn't her. Magic took the path of least resistance and not down but up through the ground into the Witch's Road. I don't know. That's kind of how she explained it, I guess. Rio asks, why did you bring that boy? And Agatha goes, oh, many hands. Like, just kind of alludes to it. And then she goes, maybe the road is Switzerland. Maybe we can call a truce. So maybe they can be neutral ground here on the road and they don't have to try to kill each other. And she goes, you and me, like old times, work and play. And I'm like, ooh, the little tension between these two. Always spicy. But Agatha, of course, is a little witch, and she presses the speaker so everyone else can hear their convo over the loudspeaker. And Rio says, you will do what you do best and kill all the witches around you, and then I will get the bodies. So they've made some type of deal, I guess, and maybe Rio is Lady Death, and Agatha made a deal with her to give her bodies, and that they made the same deal on the Witch's Road the first time around, and that's why it was only Agatha and Rio that left the Witch's Road. The teen starts to play a record, but it's playing backwards, and it's, you know, it's like chalkboards getting scratched to the rest of the coven. Agatha smashes the record that's playing backwards. Lilia goes, we have been cursed, and the ticking starts. Rio goes, that ticking I think means the challenge started. And she's like smiling, and they're like, why are you smiling? She's a tourist. She's a psycho. You know, like, just the little quips between the coven really makes me laugh so hard. Alice goes, does anyone feel lighter? And then Lilia starts to burn. Alice draws a circle around her to stop the curse. Jen starts to burn. She does the same thing. Jen's shoulders burns. Like, she's like, oh, what the hell? It's like a scar over her shoulders. And then Lilia has that too. We find out later that Alice also has it. We hear flapping wings, but we can't see it. And they're like, what is that? Rio goes, it's a curse. She's like reading a newspaper in the background. Like, Aubrey killed me this episode because she's like a part of the coven, but she's the new girl. So she's like, yeah, no, I'm cool doing my own thing. I'm a little weird. Which feels very Aubrey Plaza, right? So we find out, though, that Alice has this, too. And she goes, I didn't think it was real. My mother had it. My grandmother had it. It's a generational curse. And Jen's like, now me and Lilia have it. And yeah, so sorry about that. So the teen gets sent through a glass window, and he's like, "Oh man, am I a part of the coven now? It attacked me." And the coven, and Lilia's like, "Yeah, blessings and curses alike, my friend, is what it means to be a part of a coven." So they find out that the thing they have to do to accomplish this trial is sing Lorna Woo's Ballad of the Witch's Road. And Alice doesn't want to do this, but they also find out that it's a protection spell that her mother, you know, the song wasn't just her trying to conjure the road. It was a protection spell that she would sing, and everyone sings all over the world to protect Alice. Which is just like, oh, my mama really did care about me. She wasn't crazy. But we see the smashed record that says Lorna Woo in the Coral Shore, the Ballad of the Witch's Road. And song number 1 is Mary Mary. Song number 2 is Red Haired Woman. Scarlet Witch, maybe. 3 is Cinnamon and Sage. 4, Flick of the Wrist. Look at the flick of the wrist. 5 is Swan's Song. But either way, none of those seem to be the Ballad of the Witch's Road, right? But either way, they sing the Ballad of the Witch's Road according to Lorna Woo's version. And I have a clip here of them singing.
I have learned the lesson of all that's foul and fair. Our love was forged in fire, water, earth, and air. Down, down, down the road, down the witch's road.
Oh, great fire! He's angry. Oh, stop phoning it in. Play like a witch.
The dangers great, the trials wait for those that seek the bride. If I can reach you, let my song teach you. If I can hold you, remember what I told you. It's the only way we survive. Down, down, down the witch's road.
The curse. I see it. I can see it. I can kill it.
I'll see you at the end. I'll see you at the end.
I do love this coven, how they sing. It's probably going to get stripped for copyright anyways, but I really do enjoy them singing and this part of like them being a band. It's like a 70s band. Agatha's on the pipes. Lilia cracks me up. We'll talk about her in a second. We got Teen on guitar, Jen on bass, Rio on the drums. I was like, okay, Rio's in the band now too. She seems to be having fun. And then, you know, the room starts to go on fire. She's like, oh great, we're on fire. They're like, keep going, sing the song. And Lilia's over here. Lilia's over here freaking playing the maracas. She's like got little cymbals. She's got little triangle. Like, she is so funny. Like, I freaking Patty Lapone is a blast. But Kathryn Hahn really got those pipes really going for it on these singing scenes. And it doesn't really feel like it's Kathryn Hahn singing. It feels like it's Agatha. And you're like, yeah, this is what's working. It was weird though. Agatha started to like burn the same way they were burning, but it didn't, you know, conquer her the way that it was like conquering the rest of them. So maybe Agatha's just got tough skin. She's been through it before type of thing. I don't know. The fire starts and she's like, stop phoning it in. Play it like a witch, Alice. So now they really start going. We see that Teen has a piece of glass in his side, which no good. And we hear the lyrics of the song says, if I can't reach you, let my song teach you, the episode title. Alice starts to see the curse is a demon, and it's like a red practical effects like vampire demon. I don't know, it looked cool though, but I was like, damn, really? I would have wanted to spend some more time looking at this thing. They did all that practical effects for nothing? No, I was around for a quick second. But she goes, I can see it. I can kill it. So she, like, it like lands on her shoulders, and as she like, you know, really sings the song, it like burns her out. So maybe like the burning on the shoulders was this thing grabbing them, like, and it was just invisible because they can't see it. So now singing the song, Alice was able to see it, kill it, you know. And then we see that the next pathway through, they accomplished their second trial, playing Lorna Woo's ballad, and the next door on the road back to the Witch's Road off to the third trial is through the piano. But before they go through the piano, the teen collapses with his 70s hair and glass in his side. And we see Agatha seems so much more concerned than she was about Sharon or the other girls when they were burning. And she's, so teen might really be her son. Or at least Agatha at the moment thinks he's Nicholas Scratch, right? They start to maybe think that the teen's just gonna pass. And she's like, Jen, what do you need? What do you need? She goes, water and moonlight. And we hear Lilia say the 3 swords. So that was a tarot card that we saw in promotional details before the season started. And then Lilia goes, Jennifer, look what you did. And like she healed the boy. Weird looks with Rio and Agatha. Like maybe Rio was hoping to add a dead body to her collection of some sorts. But we see Agatha sitting with the resting teen. She built them like a little stick tent. And she's sitting next to him like all concerned and shit. Like, I'm like, oh man, Agatha really does love this kid. But she doesn't know if it's her kid or just like, I don't know. But she's definitely grown fond of him over the last couple episodes. Around the fire, the rest of the coven talks, and we find out that Jen was a midwife and that she got trapped into like going to Boston of some sorts, and she got trapped into something. Maybe we'll find out more about her details with Jen. Alice says, I wanted to stay angry, but now she knows that it was all for her, and that makes her sad. And Lilia points this out, and she goes, you're right. And she goes, sad is better than angry, honey. Like that type of thing. And it's like, Lilia, Patty Lapone, my wise grandmother, aunt, whatever. I'll listen to you. You're great. But Patty goes, the rumors of witches, man. Oh, God, we're plagued by them. That we can talk to ghosts. That we have extra nipples. Rio goes, you don't have extra nipples? I'm covered in them. Want to see? And they all kind of chuckle. Back over with Agatha and the teen. The boy wakes up. And he asks her, did she cast the sigil on him? And she says no. But she wouldn't know if she did either. Sigils are irritating that way. They work on the witches that cast them. So even if she did cast the sigil on the teen, she wouldn't know if she did, right? She wouldn't know if it was her son, and she just wouldn't know. So I got a feeling maybe Rio did, maybe it was Mephisto, still maybe Wanda, but we'll find out eventually. We're gonna have to find out who did this sigil, right? But the teen says he wants to get rid of this sigil, and she goes, it doesn't work that way. It needs to be destroyed. And it only gets destroyed when it's no longer needed. But Agatha goes, but you don't need to know someone's name to know who they are, right? And it's kind of like this sweet moment. And he goes, careful you don't say something nice to me. And she goes, oh no, it won't happen. And then he goes, what really happened to your son? And she doesn't answer this question at all. And she just goes, get your rest. We're not staying long. She goes back over the fire. We hear Lilia talking about, you see this here? And she goes, what is that? I got bitten by a vampire before I smashed out his other tooth. What? So Lilia's been bitten by a vampire? What? And then Lilia goes, we really hated each other at the start, but now, and then kind of like checks out, and they go, but now, and she goes, huh? And they go, Lilia, where do you go? And it's just funny. I really like how Alice is now, growing out of her shell a bit, and she's a part of this coven. Jan's finding her spot. Lilia, of course, hilarious. Agatha, Rio. I do love this coven. I'm bummed Debra Jo Rupp isn't still in this coven. I want her around more. Agatha comes back to the fire, and they go, how's the boy? She goes, mouthy. And then they go, you got any scars you want to show off? She has like this big scar on her elbow, and she tells a story about it, but I don't think it's important. And then Rio jumps in and goes, I have a scar. A long time ago, I loved someone, and she had to do something. Rio had to do something she didn't want to do, even though it was her job, and it hurt them. She is my scar. And I saw a lot of parallels on this going around on Twitter and saying she is my scar, and it hit deep when she said it too. But Aubrey saying it made me chuckle more because she looks at Agatha right after, and Agatha's just like looking like, I wonder who she's talking about. And clearly, my heart is black and it belongs to you. She is my scar, right? Like clearly Rio still loves the hell out of Agatha, Agatha might not necessarily remember why she hates her, but that's gonna click eventually, right? And it's gonna hurt. But they were comparing the "she is my scar" to "what is grief if not love persevering," that Vision line, and it will probably live in infamy for a while. People will refer to as "she is my scar, she's my scar to bear," you know, that type of thing. I still like Vision's version better though. What is grief if not love persevering, right? Like in his stupid robot British tone. Loved it. Agatha gets up and leaves the fire. Rio goes after her. Lilia stops her a second and goes, "Don't think for a second I forgot what you said in the sound booth, Rio." And Rio like barks at her. But Agatha and Rio hug and it's kind of a sweet little moment. You can tell Agatha enjoys her touch and they almost kiss. They get right just close to kissing. And then Rio has to jump in because she feels bad and goes, "Agatha, that boy isn't yours." And Agatha, you can see her pull back and the look on her face of just kind of like disappointment and realization and sadness, like, oh, Kathryn Hahn. And you see this look on Kathryn Hahn's face go from sadness, and then the music starts to go more eerie, and it's back to like that smile, that grin of just like, I'm a witch, I'm a dark old bitch, you know, that type of thing. And then the credits roll, and I was like, oh man! So they're building this tension between Agatha and Rio so much, and I'm really here for the Aubrey Plaza and the Kathryn Hahn of it all. It just is perfect. But at the same time, that teen, you know, and like the coven is awesome. Who's the teen? Is he Nicholas Scratch? Is he Billy Kaplan? Is he, you know, Billy Maximoff, whatever? Is he Wanda's son? Is Wanda going to come into this? Is Debra Jo Rupp going to come back? I have so many questions. Comment below your questions. Let's talk more Agatha All Along. If you would like to send me other questions on my other social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, you can find all my movie reviews, link in the description below. If you want to support me and support the channel further, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, hit that bell so you don't miss future Agatha All Along breakdowns, Comically Boston's, movie reviews, all type of videos are on the channel. I produce tons of content, videos out every single day, so stay tuned for more. And I will see you beautiful people in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do love this show, and anyone that watches and supports these videos, I really appreciate you. And I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace.